There we go. Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. It is episode, I don't know, let's go 50. Fuck it. Episode 50. Obviously, like I said, about a month or two ago, we talked about how we're going to switch from the NFL to college football. So now we're here talking about college football. See, me and Eddie over here rocking it today. We want to talk about last week's games. And then talk about some of the big important games coming up. Obviously the college football playoff rankings came out 3 days ago. So we'll talk about that, cover that kind of stuff as well, and then we'll make some playoff predictions and other stuff like that. You know what I mean? So without further ado, let's talk about a little bit from last week. We can talk about the Gator game because there weren't too many good games last week anyway. But let's talk about the Gator game. What were your thoughts about that game?
Um, Obviously, it was disappointing. I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can, but it was just a disappointing game to watch just because there was a lot of expectations that Florida could do a little better than they did. But when you break down the game, you break down the film, you can see that it's just that they just have a lot better talent in the trenches. Whether it's offensive line or defensive line, they're light years ahead of the Florida Gators, right? So it's just gonna take a lot of. It's gonna take a while until an SEC team starts recruiting like Georgia has for the past 6 years and builds a team like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing about Gator fans is that they're very impatient. You know, I think people forget in 2015 and 2016, Georgia was horrible. You know what I mean? I would say horrible, but they weren't nowhere near as what they are now. Obviously, they didn't really pick things up until like 2017. You know what I mean? But like I said, it takes a while to build that kind of stuff, to build that kind of culture, to recruit better, to get people on board, to build that, foundation. And I see the vision with Billy. It's hard being patient. I get it, but at the same time, it's going to pay off at the end of the day. So I still think Billy is our guy. I think he's hiring an offensive coordinator in the offseason. There was some smoke about that, but yeah, man, I think we'll be fine. And talk about the game itself. I mean, the Florida Georgia game. You know, that first drive. I'm pretty sure we both had some hope. We were like, that boy Trey Wilson was cooking. You know what I mean? We look good, and then reality set in. You know what I mean? But like you just said, it's just obvious that of the big talent gap is just obvious. You know what I mean? Georgia's been recruiting. They've been in the top two the past, I don't know, what, 5 years, something like that, something crazy like that.
I think
Um,
since Kirby's been there, I don't think he's had anything lower than like a class 6 or something like that, right?
Crazy.
So and then all those years, sorry for that. All those years, the Florida Gators were like in the 11th or 12th ranked, which is a
Hmm.
significant, it's significant difference. I mean, one team has won two national championships back to back, and then another team has gone 6-6 back to back seasons. So that lets you know that recruiting does matter, and whoever says that recruiting doesn't matter because of transfer portal or anything like that, it's not that you can get like 70 people from a transfer portal. I mean, I guess you could like Colorado, but it's not sustainable. You still need to be able to develop people. You still need to be able to recruit people. And so for Billy, man, he just needs to continue um just recruiting how he's recruiting right now. Obviously, we have like a top two. We have a top three class. If we can flip up a couple guys, it'll be a top two class. Um, and so if he just recruits a little better, and we make some changes on the OC, then we can do. Obviously the Gators will do much better. As for the game, I just wanted to see. The first drive was amazing, right? I mean, we drove the ball down the field. We got ourselves in like 3rd and 8, and we were still able to convert. That's Trey Wilson was cooking because he literally got the ball 7 times that drive. Um, with that being said, the following series, the Florida defense does good. They hold the Florida. I mean, they hold the Bulldogs to 3 points. And then I don't know. I think we punt the ball or something like that, and then they get the ball and they get a touchdown. But then that's the following. So now it's 10-7, right? So it goes from 10-7. Like literally, we were down by 3 points, and in a matter of 4 minutes, the score turned to 24-7
Yep.
because we got the ball. We went for it on fourth down. That was the stupidest play call. And I really don't understand why people like why football teams don't run what the Eagles are running. I guess like people are so against it that they rather not even run it. But it's a QE sneak on 4th and inches that would have gotten it for you. Instead, you want to snap the ball between the quarterback's fucking legs, let the running back get it, and then try to make a 7 yard something that was inches away. You make it 7 yards farther. It's just I didn't understand. I agree with going for it. I just don't agree with the play.
Yeah,
Uh, and then and then the following, then they stop us at like the 15. They punt the ball. I mean, they block the punt, so that's automatically 2 point. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a
yeah,
lot of stupid plays that got the ball that got them the ball in within the 30-yard line. And if you look at the how much we lost by, which was like 22 points, that's 21 points that you gave them the ball at the 30-yard line 3 times.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's that simple.
yeah. Sad to see. Sad to see. But it is what it is. But my last thoughts on that game is, like I said, Florida going down, scoring on the first drive, and then giving up 36 unanswered is just crazy when you think about it. You know what I mean? So that just shows, like you said, how important recruiting is, and whoever recruits the best is going to keep winning. And it looks like Georgia's going to keep winning for a while now. So
Also, Marshall needs to go sit the bench. That he has been the most this no, but I'm being for real, man. He has been so disappointing this year. So disappointing. I had high hopes for him, be a first round pick, or just have a great career, great year. He has been cooked every single game that he's played this season. And if you get cooked by somebody named Lad McCurkle, whatever his name is, McConkey,
yeah,
there's no coming back from that. And he got cooked like for 150 yards. It he needs to sit the bench. I don't he must practice like God out there
yeah,
for him to be out there every single game when you see him be barbecue chicken out there every single game.
yeah, brother. Yeah. All right, moving on. Let's talk about a couple more games from Week 9. One shocker was Kansas beating Oklahoma. That was crazy, nonetheless. Um, I want to start
Yeah.
this off by go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see Kansas get a big W like that. You know what I mean? But I think Oklahoma let that Texas win really get to their heads. I think, as we all saw after they beat Texas, they were taking a bunch of photos, they were getting tattoos, they were making T-shirts, and you would have thought they won a championship. So I think they forgot they had to play 6 more games, and I think that they overlooked Kansas because, if I'm not mistaken, they have a big game this week. Or they play Oklahoma State this week. So I think that was more of a trap game than anything else. And Kansas showed that we're not no slouch. We're not what we used to be. So that was a crazy game. We're gonna talk about that.
That Kansas game was just I think you summarized it pretty well. I mean, that game was just crazy.
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, Oklahoma was up early in the game, quite a
yeah,
bit, because I think it was by a while because I didn't really pay attention to that game anymore. And next thing I know, they're going to overtime and they win it. So like you said, man, Oklahoma just got that win versus Texas to their head, and they just forgot they got to play 6 other games, and they lost to
yeah,
Kansas. Not to say that Kansas is not a different program than what it was, well, because they are. The thing is that their best quarterback didn't even play. It was a
yeah,
freshman out there playing, and he was doing pretty good. So it was an impressive win by Kansas. I see that program turning around, which is it's kind of crazy because that's a very very hard program to turn around. I mean, Les Miles went over there and wasn't able to do anything. People
right.
forget so this new coach has inspired these kids and it implemented a new culture to Kansas, and I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, they're getting like a whole new sports complex, a whole new stadium. So we'll see, man. I mean, am I gonna say that they're the next powerhouse in the Big 12? I'm not saying all that, but it's wide open because once Oklahoma and Texas leaves, who's the best? Who's the powerhouse over there? I don't really
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. So, like you said, it's good to see Kansas doing their thing, but real sad for Oklahoma, especially the week before playoff rankings came out, and now they gotta run the table and hope that FSU or somebody loses. You know what I mean, for them to get the playoffs. I think
Yep.
Texas actually is ranked higher than them now. I think they're at like number 7 now. Yeah, Texas ranked number 7, which is crazy. But all right, let's talk about that top 4 that got released this past Tuesday night. So one was Ohio State, which was a shocker to me at least. 2 was Michigan. Sorry, no, 2 was Georgia. My bad. 2 was Georgia. 3 was Michigan, and then 4 was Florida State, and I think Washington was at 5 to round it all out. What was your first initial thoughts when you saw that show?
But I'm sorry, I'm freaking wow, yawning a lot. But it's been a long day, man.
Yeah,
As for the rankings, man, Ohio State being one is what the hell's wrong with the camera? Ohio State being one is insane to me. I'm sorry,
yeah,
there's absolutely no explanation for that. When you look at the strength of schedule, it, I mean, no, bro, there's just it, no, it's just doesn't make any sense. One team has played multiple ranked teams. Even FSU had, FSU played a Duke team that was ranked,
mhm,
and they played an LSU team that was ranked too. So like you can't
mhm,
discredit FSU for playing ranked teams. They have played two, and they beaten two. They're undefeated.
yeah,
Georgia defeated. They played. I don't know who the hell they played. That's been ranked, but they played somebody that was ranked. Ohio State hasn't played anybody that was ranked, or other than Penn State. And the reason that I think the only sole reason that they have Ohio State so high is because they beat Penn State, and Penn State was the top 10 team.
yeah. I was gonna say
That's
that. Yeah,
the only reason I can see them being number one. And since Georgia hasn't really played on the top 10 team yet, and neither has FSU, that's why they have the rankings like that. I don't know. I think Michigan is too low, but I think that Michigan is just getting a lot of hate for the behind the scenes stuff that's going on over there with the
yeah.
cheating. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What about you?
So, um, I think it's crazy that Ohio State's number 1. I think Georgia's the best team by far in the country right now. I was looking at the schedule while you were talking, and they beat the brakes off of Kentucky, who's ranked number 20. Kentucky's not a bad team at all. They beat them 51-13. They did struggle against Auburn, but besides that, they belong everybody else out. So I think, at least on paper, and at least seeing them on the field, they're the best team in the country by far. Um, I still think that Washington should have been ranked higher than Florida State, in my opinion, just because Washington did beat Oregon, and Oregon looks like a playoff team. Let's be honest, you know what I mean. So I don't know. I do think that it's going to be interesting to see how the season plays out because Washington, I think they play Utah. No, they play USC this week. And then they play Utah in the upcoming weeks. And then obviously the Pac-12 championship is going to be crazy, with Utah and not Utah, with Washington and Oregon. So, and there's going to be a lot of things to play for too. And who knows, maybe Louisville could beat FSU. Obviously FSU beat LSU, and LSU has been looking good ever since that loss. And then they also beat Duke, which they struggled with a little bit at first, but then again, they kind of pulled away later on in the game. So, man, I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this all works out. I still don't think that Ohio State should be at least in the top 2. I think they're top 3. I mean, I think they should be ranked number 3 at best. So we got some good games coming up, though. You know what I mean? So a lot of stuff is going to shake up, especially in the last week of the season when Ohio State and Michigan play, and maybe Florida can knock off Florida State. Fingers crossed. You know what I mean? But we'll see how it goes, man. Let's go ahead and transition on to the games that's coming up this weekend. So, first off, really big game. We got Missouri at Georgia. Missouri is ranked number 12, and they look good. You know what I mean? So I got Georgia on upset alert. After they beat Florida, I still feel like they struggled against South Carolina. They struggled against Auburn, teams that have really good offenses. And Missouri's offense is lethal. You know what I mean? So what's your thoughts on that game?
I got Georgia. I'm not gonna question that. I mean, it'll be probably a good game for the first quarter, maybe a quarter and a half, but I have Georgia. Georgia's offensive line is gonna manhandle Missouri, and same with the defensive line. Their trenches is just so impressive to me. Like they look like I mean, honestly, they're the new Alabama. If we're being completely honest, and we'll see if they can
Yeah.
even be more dominant. Um, because their trenches is insane. Like the size of the guys on the offensive line doesn't make any sense, and the speed on that defense. Trey Wilson is one of the quickest guy in the NFL, but one of the quickest guy in college football. And he was trying to run that little reverse, and the linebackers were meeting him 3 yards behind the damn line of scrimmage. So I I don't, and it's at Georgia too, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's an Atlas.
I don't see Georgia losing any games, bro. To be honest, I just don't see them losing any regular season games. Could they lose in the SEC championship? Sure, or in the playoffs, maybe. But just in the regular season, I just don't see it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I respect it, but I don't know. They've struggled at home a lot, and like I said, they barely beat Auburn only by 7 points at home, and then they also struggled against South Carolina's offense. So I'm just saying, Missouri has better offense than both of those teams, and I really, 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 truly think that they can get a run for their money. Do I think that Georgia might pull it out in the end? Of course, but I think it's going to be a tough game that a lot of people think it will be, in my opinion. So I'm going to be excited to see that one. I'm going to be sitting down, eyes glued to the TV, watching that one closely, but I still got Georgia in the end, though, to say it nonetheless. Another game, LSU at Bama, and it's a night game, too. What do you think about that
That's
one?
a big that's a big game. That's a massive game. That will decide the. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. That will not decide the SEC West uh team because Ole Miss is ranked like 11th, and they could easily make the damn playoffs. So I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say that that game decides the what team is showing up for the west side of the SEC, but that's a massive game because remember last year what's his name what's their coach's name,
Alabama or LSU?
LSU.
Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly in his first year beat Nick Saban. That's crazy. He beat him last year.
Yep.
So for him to go into Alabama territory and
Mm-hmm.
beat him again, it's insane, right?
Yep.
It's insane. So I don't think that Nick Saban will allow that to happen again. It is a night game in Alabama, which is going to be wild in there. It's LSU, their biggest rival. So I have Alabama, but it's going to be a close game. That offense is crazy, but their defense is horrible. So I don't think that they will stop Alabama at all. The
Yeah.
problem is, will Alabama stop itself? That's been the problem the whole year. That was the problem with Texas. That was the problem the whole year, like I said. So
Yep.
what will they do? We'll see. But I have Alabama winning that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got Alabama winning too. And I think things might fall downhill. I mean, go downhill for LSU after that game as well because Alabama has their backs against the wall. And I think we all know how Alabama plays, at least under Nick Saban, when they got their backs against the wall. So I think it might be a blowout, bro, honestly, because this is a night game in Tuscaloosa. They cannot lose this game. I don't see LSU doing anything. I don't think they're ready for that kind of doing those kind of games yet. So I got Alabama winning big, bro. One last game for this upcoming week is Bedlam. That's what they call it, the Oklahoma State game. That's gonna be a good game. That's gonna be a good game. Prime time on ABC. Oklahoma's ranked number 9th. They got to go on the road all the way up to Stillwater and play Oklahoma State. What are your thoughts about that game?
I haven't really paid attention much to Oklahoma State. Um, but I mean, the thing is, Oklahoma just got caught sleeping. So will they be caught sleeping again a week after you losing to Kansas, or will you respond versus your rival? So
Mm-hmm.
you said Oklahoma State, right?
Yes, yeah, it's in Stillwater.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't really, I can't really comment much about this game. I haven't paid attention much to Oklahoma State at all. But
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma, obviously, that was a disappointing loss last week. So can they bounce back? We shall see.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think they will bounce back. This is a really really big game in Oklahoma. Like I said, I went to grad school there, so I know how insane things get whenever Oklahoma State comes to town. Whenever Oklahoma has to go to Stillwater, so I got Oklahoma winning. I think it'll be a good game, but Oklahoma State's defense is horrible. FYI, that defense is horrible. Let me pull something up really quick because I know they gave up to a lot of points to some trash team. Hold on. Yeah, Oklahoma State's defense. Them boys can't stop a nosebleed. Like
Damn.
they gave up 34 points to Iowa State, who was horrible. They gave up almost 20 points to Arizona State, who we all know was horrible. Yeah, nah. They gave up almost 40 points to West Virginia. You know what I mean? West Virginia's like 3-5. You know what I mean? Like them boys are just not good. So I think Dylan Gabriel in that offense will definitely turn things up. Get their get back, and then the boys are going to start steamrolling. And I think Oklahoma State just they just won't be able to keep up with OU. And I think it's going to be OU winning big. And it's a big game too because it's their last time playing. I think for a long time because obviously Oklahoma's going to the SEC. So you know what I mean?
No, unless they do like a Florida State thing where they play every year.
True. True.
See,
It
that's
could be.
interesting.
Yeah. Interesting to say the least, for sure, for sure. So one last game we should cover for you. I mean, one last thing we're going to cover for you guys before we get on out of here is Washington at USC. So I think everybody knows USC is 7-2 now, and they've been fighting back pretty well. And I think this might be do or die for USC. And obviously Washington, I think they might be a little pissed off that they lost. I mean, not lost, but they got left out the top four. I feel like they got something to prove as well. So it's gonna be a big game. Both teams have a lot to fight for. What do you think?
So let's start with USC lost last week, right? We didn't even cover that.
No, they
Was that
beat California. They won.
okay? I know they went to overtime, whatever. Okay, well they're
Yeah,
7-2. I don't see USC making the playoffs. I think their playoffs hope is done.
yeah,
Um, but this could be a meaningful game for Caleb Williams and for Lincoln Riley. Like they haven't given up. They can beat elite teams. Because right now, Caleb Williams, any team that he plays that's top 25, he kind of struggles. That's a
yeah.
big question. Can you play against your own competition? Because whenever you're playing bums, yeah, you ball out, but that's you playing against bums. Um, so it's a big game. It's a big game for both parties because Washington obviously feels like they should be in the playoffs, and I mean, why not? They also have they also have played ranked teams, and they also have played um, a top 10 team, and they beat them, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to be ready to show that they got everything, and then USC is going to be ready because they kind of have to show that we're still we're trying to be a serious program here, so take us seriously.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm definitely going to watch that game. What time is it at?
It is going to be at 7:30 your time.
7:30 my time. Yeah, we'll be
Yeah,
watching that.
for sure, for sure. My initial thoughts. So USC schedule is a gauntlet to finish the season. By the way, they got Washington Saturday, then they go to Oregon, which might be a night
Yeah,
game, and then they finish off
two
the
L.
season with UCLA. And
That's
UCLA is
yeah,
ranked 19th right now too. So
that's guaranteed two L's. And at UCLA, what Chip Kelly is doing over there is impressive. So
mhm,
that could be three L's. So you're talking about a team that is 7-5 to end the season.
that's crazy if you think about it.
Right, 7-5 with Caleb Williams, who's supposed to be the next freaking coming of Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, they could potentially, like you said, finish the season 7-5, which is crazy because last year they looked pretty decent for Lincoln Riley being his first year there. So I don't know, bro. But to talk about the Washington USC game specifically, I think Washington is playing with fire, with some fire now because they got something to prove now. You know what I mean? And I think that their coach, I don't know if you ever seen that, or you know who their coach is, but that man is like a dog. You know what I mean? And he has an old
Mm-hmm.
school mentality, and I feel like he can bring the best out of the boys. And I feel like he's going to light a fire under their butts, and they're going to play hard Saturday night. You know what I mean? I think it might be. I know. I thought it was going to be like a close game at first, but now thinking about it more, it might be a blowout, low key, because that Washington defense is nasty, and
Yeah.
the USC offensive line has been struggling. I don't know if you've been seeing Caleb Williams running for his life, making big plays, or have to make big plays for the boys to win. But that Washington defense is no joke at all. They got them Hawaiian boys out there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I agree, bro. I agree. So that Washington defense, it goes under the radar so much just because they play in the Pac-12 and then they play late at night games. But that defense is serious, and they've always
Yeah,
been serious. They've had a serious defense for like a decade now, especially even so this year. And not to mention that their offense is crazy. I mean, they have probably two, three different guys that could be possibly be first round guys. So we're just
Yeah,
gonna see. But I have Washington winning pretty. It's a pretty significant win there.
yeah, pretty convincing for sure. And I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, a lot of good games coming up this weekend, and we're obviously getting to the last 3 weeks of college football, which is sad to see. But it is what it is. But yeah, it's gonna be some good games, and we're gonna be there next week on Wednesday. We have a big guest coming back. He's been on the show a few times, but this will be his first time being on the show since the rebrand. You guys know Clifford Taylor. Big fan of his. He loves Gators, so we're gonna talk about some Florida stuff for you guys, and also talk about some more college football stuff for you guys as well. So we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, leave us your thoughts and opinions and whatnot. We love to hear them and everything. We appreciate you guys for supporting us and everything we do. And we'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Yes, sir. Take it easy. Have a good weekend.